Good evening, everybody. It's Robbie W1RCP, and we are gonna. Yeah, that was loud. And tonight we're gonna do some FCC exam study, and it's in trivia format. So we'll start with the technician exam, and I know that one participant already is an extra, so he probably won't mind if we attend to the noobs tonight. And if we have any requests for other test heights, we will see. I know that Eddie, KO4NLL, he is actually doing Parks on the Air as we live stream up in North Georgia, and I'll be there next year. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and show you guys how to log in. Okay, so to log in, you're going to go to hamtesttrivia.com. That's http://hamtesttrivia.com. And you're going to go up to the very tippy top, and you're going to hit that play button. And once you hit the play button, you're going to be brought to a screen that says enter your name or call sign. Now, this is an old picture. You can't use any special characters or spaces. That's why call signs work the best. Thanks, Chris, for saying, I just like listening to you. Hey, if you need to take a nap, I have quite a few folks that I like take naps to that are longer videos. I'm totally with that. Alrighty, so we are going to go ahead and transition into what it looks like from my end. And here we go. We're going to type in my magical call sign and my super secret password. And go ahead, and today we're going to start off with technician. Now for the general, this general is going, nope, not the general, the extra. This extra is about to expire in 17 days, and I'm going to remove it. So anybody who's going to come after that, sorry, Charlie. But the new extra goes into effect, I believe, on July 1st. So I am pasting tonight's technician code in the window, even as we speak. So I've learned through doing these live streams that my wife is actually learning quite a bit from the exam. She's doing really good, and yeah, now that I've done said something. Yep, definitely. So I have the thing on super duper low. There's not going to be any delay hardly between what I say and what appears up on your screen, so we can have a little more interaction. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and kick this pig. Alrighty, so these questions, I'm starting a 35-part technician exam study video section, and it'll be a playlist, and it'll be good for a couple years. And basically, I read each question and give each answer. And once we get down to the ones that need some explanation, I'll be giving some explanations. So this first question is asking you about which licenses are available right now. You know, back in the day, there used to be a lot more. Now there's only 3. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you there's only 3. So that should narrow that one down. What is a common repeater frequency offset in the 2-meter band? Well, the 2-meter band is a magic number. Okay, so we're going down. What is the relationship between electric and magnetic fields of an electromagnetic wave? There's your answer right there. Which of the following is an appropriate power supply rating for a typical 50-watt output mobile FM transceiver? Funny question for beginners, too, because they probably don't have one of these yet. They probably haven't put it in their vehicle. They're waiting to see if they can pass the test. But I'm going to tell you that it is a lot of amps, and think of an alternator output voltage. Remember, I'm not giving answers, but I will give hints. That's the new format for this right now. And it says, what is impedance? Now, I'll tell you that impedance is synonymous to resistance in DC. Alrighty, now you guys are going to notice a difference tonight. Let me see who in the chat can catch the difference first. Which of the following can provide power gain? So we're talking about power gain. Power gain. Alrighty, which instrument would you use to measure electric potential? Now, it's funny on this exam, some of the electronics questions, when they go to the formula, which the formula I say voltage equals current times resistance. For voltage, they use E. And E is electromotive force, which its unit is the volt. And I accidentally just gave you the right answer. All right, question A. Anybody notice the difference yet? Which of the following is a form of amplitude modulation? Amplitude modulation. Now we're getting into questions that my wife has never seen. But has anybody that's out there, have you noticed the difference between this week and the last 9 weeks? It took me a whole semester to realize I made a mistake. Question number 9. My wife ought to get this one. I just talked about it this week. But what is a beam antenna? A beam antenna. Think about them high beams. But not I-beams. I think we got one more question. Which of the following is a safety hazard of a 12-volt storage battery? There's only one right answer, and I'll tell you it's not D. All right, so who's already, you guys let me know in the chat when you submit your trivia questions, and we'll see who ranks first. You know, it's sad that we're missing Eddie tonight because he was getting whooped up by Ashley on some of those. Which, if you'll see in the chat, Ashley probably will come in as Oliver. All right, so I guess there's only one playing, so it's just Ashley tonight. So we'll go ahead and I think you're the winner tonight. Hot dog, a 70, not bad. And I guess you must have heard me giving you some of the answers to 7, 8, 9, and 10. But have y'all noticed yet? Anybody notice the difference? The difference is there are 10 sections to the technician exam. There just aren't as many questions. And if you notice, if you go back and look at the last 9 weeks, I only had 7 of those sections. And I realized it last week that I somehow didn't import the last 200 questions. There's Oliver explains what is different. All right, let's do another tech. Let's see, start new game. Do not hit go yet until we get into the technician. Okay, here is the code going into the chat. Yes, there are 3 more questions now in the technician part so that we can cover all of the sections. So, you know, it is what it is. I make mistakes. I can admit that. You knew 7 to 10 on your own, Oliver explains. Very nice. Well, excellent. Let's go ahead and get started with this one. No, you're not in there yet. Give you a minute. Sorry, which of the following are required for remote control operation? And I think reading that, I think I remember going over that one in some of the videos that I recorded. What is the purpose of a squelch function? Squelch. So this is trivia. This isn't time to learn. So you guys, what is the purpose of squelch? I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with CW. We used a lot of squelch this weekend on our fox hunt that we went on, especially when we left our radios on. But then we turned it off when it was time to wait on that fox to transmit. Which of the following bands may provide long-distance communications via the ionosphere's F region during the peak of the sunspot cycle? So you have the D layer. The D layer is the one that absorbs 40 meters during the day. It just, I think it's when that D layer comes back or it goes away, one of the two. It's when 40 meters opens up. I bet you tonight there ain't going to be much 40 meters because I believe Earth got smacked by the sun again. I saw some complaints in the Ham Radio Adventure Guys Discord. Alrighty, so that one's a pretty easy one right there. There's only one HF frequency in there. What is the effect of excessive microphone gain on SSB transmissions? Well, if you go back and watch the first 30 seconds or so when I started talking on the stream, you would have heard it. My volume was too loud, and it did some bad things. But yeah, you do not want excessive gain. It will basically cause square waves to happen, I think, in the audio portion of your radio, which gets sent out. It's ugly. All right, we got a math question. How many milliamperes is 1.5 amperes? I've said just about every week, milli means divide by 1,000. Yep, some of that scientific notation. Okay, number 6. Which of the following is a reason to use shielded wire? Shielded wire. Yep, I like that answer. Shielded wire is good stuff when it works right. Which is why coax is shielded. How about that? Which of the following types of solder should not be used for radio and electronic applications? This one might be a tough one if you've never done soldering before. There's only one of these that is bad. And I bet you could probably guess which one is bad. So when you see this question on your exam, just look at what's bad. Alrighty, what is a talk group on a DMR repeater? A group of operators sharing common interests? Most likely. Most likely. That's the question. That's the answer. I have a viewer asking if I'm telling the answers. Could be, could not be. What is a benefit of low SWR? Now, SWR is the standing wave ratio. So I need some of them super chats to come through because I got holes in my socks. Got lots of holes in these socks. Good grief. Benefit of low SWR. And if you're coming to watch this after the stream, thank you. Please subscribe and like the video while you're at it. Watch it many, many times so that you can study for your exams. Okay, last one. At which of the following frequencies does maximum permissible exposure have the lowest value? Honestly, I don't know the answer to this question. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, but like I said, not trying to give any answers out, which kind of helps us to move through these pretty quickly. And so just don't look at what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going through just to answer it, just to see how well I can do with this, since I've studied this quite a bit in the last week. Uh-oh, I missed two. What in the heck did I miss? Oh, see, I don't know a dang thing about DMR. Holy cow, are you serious? That is weird. The human body is just weird. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't know that was the answer. Now I do. Okay, so let's see. Get that stats. Yeah, we've done a lot in the last 3 months. 2 months and a half. Ooh, I got you this time, Ash. I got you. Well, are there any complaints from the those that are watching about doing another technician level exam? Are there any objections? I don't think there will be. I know last week we had oh gosh, I forgot who it was already. Had one guy come in late, and so he missed out on the beginnings. But I think that he was studying to be a technician. So I guess we'll go ahead and do another technician exam. So instead of me reading these questions, I'm going to tell you about my studying for my technician. See, I knew about CB radio. My dad took me out on the beach with a group of guys, and we played with what one parent referred to as high-powered radios. Yeah, all 4 watts of CB radio. And so at any rate, it was with a church group, and the parents got mad that we were playing with high-powered radios. So my dad got a little talking to. But we went out on the beach and went a long ways with these high-powered radios. And we talked to each other using CB. I think we were on probably channel 40. We weren't on channel 9. So at any rate, you know, I got interested in it. And then I used to climb up on the roof and talk to truckers. I would climb the tree right outside the front door, climb up on the roof, and I would talk to truckers along I-95 out of Jacksonville. It just seemed to work that I could get on the roof and catch folks just off of downtown, you know, 12, 14 miles. And so I had a little bit of radio knowledge. And then I'm really a jack of all trades, master of none. And so I've always dabbled in a little bit of electronics. I've been able to fix things here and there. So I started studying after for this ham radio test, the technician license, while I was in the technical college doing electronics. And I had already been kind of an electronics hobbyist before that point. I started doing electronics as a hobby back in 2007. My wife didn't even know that the magazine, it was Meg Magazine, Volume 1, just she bought me a back issue because of the stripe snoop that was in it. And because of that stripe snoop, I bought all kinds of stuff. Man, I probably went into debt big time buying electronics gear and parts and components and tools and just learning the hobby. And then I started learning how to program using pickaxe microcontrollers and stuff like that. So this was really, the questions were a lot different 13 years ago, but because DMR, I don't even think that was around yet. FT8, I don't think that was. I came into the realm, PSK 31 was the jam. And I used my technician license on that for a good while on 10 meters. But I remember I was going to go take my exam, and I think his name was Brown. I want to say it was David Brown. God's name slipped my mind. But anyways, he said, hey, we'll hold a Sunday afternoon after church test session just down the street from you. So it was just me and 3 VEs. And I passed that thing. But man, I tell you, the feeling of being able to pass this, the things that I had to study the most, propagation. I didn't know anything about propagation. I didn't know anything about the rules. And when it came to some of these other things, okay, this last question. This past weekend, I went to help an elderly ham. Which of the following is an important safety rule to remember when using a crank-up tower? Now, it is good that I had a ground crew to remind me of this very thing. You've got to think, you can't climb the tower while it's extended unless there's some kind of mechanical safety lock. And this tower did not have those mechanical locks, so we had to lower the tower, which is great because I didn't have to climb as high. It is sort of a pain to climb a tower that's retracted because all the sections nest inside of each other on this one, and there's not really a lot of places to stick your feet. But little did we know at the top there was some hard line. And that hard line kept the last section from coming down about 5 or 6 inches. And I knew that was going to happen. So while I was up there, well, Ashley, you didn't do too bad for studying. You're doing good. What I didn't know, I knew that it was going to happen. So I pulled the screwdriver up to take the only thing that was saving me was the fact that hardline is hardline, and it had a hose clamp. I put the next code into the chat box already. We'll do one more technician since I think that's all that we have live with us right now. And she just had to step out. But what I did is I had my safety harness. I was connected to the tower from the front loop, and so instead of standing on it, I knew when I let that out that it was going to shift, and I didn't want any of my phalanges to get stuck. So what I did is I had my knees pressed on the outside of the top section. And when I sat there and let that go, it moved enough to clamp down onto the hose clamp. It hadn't moved all the sections yet because they were going to move together. I pulled the hard line out and let everybody downstairs know, hey, I'm 20 feet in the air, so for a 20-foot radius and then a little bit more, this hard line's coming down. So I sent it to the back of me. It flopped down on the ground. Then I took that screwdriver and popped that hose clamp that was wedged in there, pew, and that thing went and settled down. Now, before that point, we had put 3 metal bars at the bottom so that if it did shift, it wouldn't shift very far. And it landed right on them. They were not coming out. So tower safety is important. I know that I have one of my watchers right now. He hadn't really chatted much, but Chris was in the chat just a minute ago, A4XO, Georgia Parks and Propagation. And he wants me to go up to his tower and do some work too. So I'd purchased some new safety gear today. Plus, I'm going to extend my tower another 10 feet. So I'm definitely... I was not a stranger to free climbing, but I don't want to become a statistic. So I do have a harness, and I do have some safety gear, but I've completed the collection, along with a hard hat. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. The code is W1RCP. That's Whiskey 1 Radio Charlie Papa. Went back and looked at some stats in the database of this program and noticed that some participants have been using RE as an echo P. It is Whiskey 1 Radio Charlie Papa. Oh, but I did, and we're going to make it happen, Georgia Parks. You shall not feel bad, Georgia Parks and Propagation, Chris, A4XO. Before the summer's out, I'll make a trip up there, and we'll make it happen. I'll stay at my cousin's house, and I'll come over the 2.1 miles to your locality. We'll get it done. All righty, so moving along... Which of the following is a requirement for the issuance of a club station license grant? There's only one answer that's correct, and it's not what you think. It's actually very easy to have a club. I learned that not too long ago. Are amateur station control operators ever permitted to operate outside of the frequency privileges of their license class? Now, when the 5th, 6th, or 7th video comes out that I've recorded for the study, I pretty much tell you a story about this very situation. There was a guy, and Chris, you might actually remember this. There was a guy on 10 meters that some people heard. I couldn't hear him, but some people heard him giving a distress call on 10 meters. Now, I'm pretty sure he was a technician. He did not venture outside of his frequency privileges, but he was in danger. That's all I'm going to say, because otherwise I might give y'all an answer. What is the meaning of the term picket fencing? Now, picket fencing, I've heard it. See, I knew what picket fencing was, and I think I even might have called it picket fencing. I took a trip to Michigan as a teenager, and all I would listen to, not even a teenager, I think I was a 12-ager. I could have been 13, but at any rate, I listened to a bunch of country music, and that's all I listened to. My mom really wasn't into country music. But all the way there, 2 days worth, we did stop off in Kentucky, and we went to the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. I do remember that. And going through the mountains, you get a lot of picket fencing on the radio stations. Which of the following receiver filter bandwidths provides the best signal-to-noise ratio for SSB reception? Now, I will tell you that in ham radio, you do not actually have a full hearing spectrum of frequencies. The audio frequencies don't go from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. It is only a sliver of that hearing range, and it's not even a quarter of that hearing range. Now, if you use digital, you might be able to get your digital with up to 4,000 hertz. And the wider the bandwidth, the more noise that comes through. That is also part of being able to operate your rig, is knowing what bandwidth to use with what mode. If you're using a very narrow bandwidth mode like CW or I think PSK is pretty small, it can be that big. But if you're using voice, it's probably going to be like this, and digital is probably going to be like this, like off camera. Digital, you can hear a wide range, and the noise is not as important there. So what is the unit of frequency? Ow! Which of the following is a resonant or tuned circuit? Now, resonancy and tuned circuits are very important in any radio. So is that, it's asking you which of these is a tuned circuit. I will give you 2 hints. Tuned circuit and resonancy has nothing to do with DC voltage, and it has nothing to do with what you can hear with your ear in this case. Which of the following could you use to cure distorted audio caused by RF current on the shield of a microphone cable? If you go back in my channel and look for the screen with the doggy that ate my coax, that's actually a how-to on how to put these on a piece of coax, and they're actually very inexpensive. If you buy them from digikey.com, you can get 25 of them, save about a nickel each on the discount. Not sponsored, thank you, not sponsored by DigiKey. You buy it from wherever you want if you can find it. But I put these on the end of a piece of coax from a 3-letter company. You would buy them for $75, and I made 2 for about $60, and that's with shipping. Alrighty, so there you go. What is an ARQ transmission system? I believe we've seen this question. Maybe I've seen this question somewhere before. ARQ. I'll give you a hint, it's not a Q code. Alrighty, I'm going to move on down here. We have, what is the electrical difference? What is the electrical difference between RG58 and RG213 coaxial cable? Holy moly. It seems like I know what the answer to this one is, and we're going to find out in just a minute. Alrighty, and the definition of duty cycle during the averaging time for RF exposure. So you see, like, section 0, element 0 seems to be a lot about safety, RF safety. So the definition of duty cycle during the averaging time for RF exposure. Oh, here I am trying to submit something, and I'm not even trying to submit anything here. Let's see, is anybody... Oh, no, we don't have anybody who's turned in their answers to this one yet. Let me see. Can I hit refresh on this? Oh my gosh. Those must have been some tougher questions. I don't think we've seen some of those in quite some time. Alrighty, so I think there are 3 folks watching tonight. So anybody anywhere want to take another technician exam? Let's make it a whole technician night. What do y'all say to that? What do y'all think about that? All right, so we're going to go ahead. We'll start a new one. We will go start new game. We'll just make it tech night. Let's take care of the technicians out there, since that's what I have the videos posting for the next month. My channel is going to be getting blown up because that one had things I have never heard of. So, yep, go back and try that one again later. If you want to, Oliver Explains, I will have some videos posting soon. There's one out already. You might already know the answers to those questions because we've gone over them quite a bit. There's going to be quite a few videos posting on YouTube that I have done. There are others that have also posted videos of study. This one just has me talking instead of somebody else. But I did want to give back to YouTube in general and help, just help, period. So if my voice is one of those that you can sleep to, you can put this on the playlist and go to sleep with me just talking, and I will talk you right to sleep. Okay. When is it permissible to transmit messages encoded to obscure their meaning? I bet you know this one. I bet you should know this one too, guys. We've seen this one almost every week. Which of the following describes a linked repeater network? Now, I thought that linked repeater networks were done over the internet, and I think that is one way that you can do it, but I know up in the mountainous regions, they are able to link them the other way, just by sound, the radio waves. Okay, the region of the atmosphere. We're looking for which region of the atmosphere that can refract or bend HF and VHF radio waves. I'm sorry, I got lost on my head there for just a minute, guys. The answer should be pretty obvious. If you think about something like an atom that is missing or has an extra electron, if you took chemistry, you probably already know what the answer would be. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm not misleading you. Oh, I see pictures. My favorite. Why are short heavy gauge wires used for the transceiver's DC power connection? Short and heavy gauge wire. Now we know that wires of any size have a resistance. Quick question for the extras out there. Chris, I'm picking on you. Why is coax not measured in resistance? Do you know? Let me see if Chris can answer that question. He'll probably say, no, I don't know. And he said, ugh. I'll tell you why. Because those transmission lines are dealing with RF frequencies. So it's not measured in resistance, it's measured in impedance. If you think about it, the center conductor has a dielectric around it, and then it has the ground, and that is technically the same thing as a capacitor. So it's all right, man. I was just picking on you, making sure you're there, bud. Alrighty, we've already read that one. Now, this is the one I was talking about. If you go to the NCVEC website, you will notice that this was one of the changes they made when they released this particular question. There's another version, and in all versions, they replaced the letter V with the letter E. Now, I marked an answer that may or may not be right, but I do want to say that E is electromotive force. The unit for electromotive force is the volt. But I think what they were trying to do was to keep with the original, which resistance, its unit is ohms. Electromotive force is voltage. Does anybody know why current is the letter I? It's actually pretty archaic what this goes back to. Why do we use an I for current? What does that I stand for? We know R, resistance. E, electromotive force. I, for current. Anybody know? I will send you a self-addressed stamped envelope with a stamp in it that you can use to send a QSL card to somebody else, and you can send me a letter back if you can tell me what that I means in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, you tried. I've said current like 8,000 times, Oliver explains. It actually stood for intensity. Talking about the intensity of the flow of electrons. Okay, so we spent way too much time. I love pictures. And guess what? Oliver explains. What is component niner?
Mountain.
It does look like mountains. It looks just like number 7. Do you know what it is? She thinks it's a resistor. I will tell you that if you look at the screen, because she's watching this on TV, it has that. Now you do. Those of you that are taking this trivia, what is that? See, 7's a regular old resistor. It only has one path. Whoa, one path. This one has 2 paths. This one can be used as a voltage divider. In older radios, it was used as the volume control. Newer radios these days use encoders, which it just clicks. And I forgot I turned my video off, so I've been talking to y'all this whole time, and there's no video. So back in the day, you could turn it all the way up, all the way down. It only had 270 degrees or so of travel. Nowadays, you can spin your volume with your vehicle off. You can spin your volume all the way around. You know, if you got your IC 7300 and you spin that dial, it just spins and spins and spins. Well, it's encoded. It just knows that for every click that it goes by, I don't know exactly how they're made or how they work. I've never had one that I could take apart and look at, but it's encoded now. It's all digital. But these right here are on guitars still, like electric guitars, acoustic guitars. They have this, whatever this is. I'm going to call it what it is. It's a potentiometer. And they can get dirt in them and get scratchy. Okay, we're moving on. I've spent a lot of time on this test. Okay, so this is the plug for your AC mains. This is a fuse. This is a switch. Can't tell you what that is because it's one of the answers. This is a diode. This is a capacitor. That's not the udders. I can't tell you what that is. It's one of the answers. This is a resistor. This is a light emitting diode. This is a Zener diode or Zener diode. I'm not really sure. These black lines like this, they're connections, but they can also be thought of as wires. So anything that has a connection, reading schematics, you have the diode connects to the anode of the positive side of the capacitor, and it connects to the resistor, and it connects to this part right here, which is the question. So if you had a breadboard, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 leads sticking in one row. Okay, we got to move on. What's the pitchforks? Oh, pitchforks. That's earth. See, it looks like an E that's pointing down, but that is earth or the ground. Usually this is a chassis connection of earth. It's a common point. That's your common point. And this right here means output. So I will tell you the function of what this is a this is a linear oh my gosh, it's an AC to DC conversion circuit. It's a linear power supply that uses this Zener diode to regulate the voltage. Okay, we got to go. Which of the following causes failure of coax cables? Your inside coax cables won't have this problem. It's outside. Alrighty. Which type of voice mode is often used for long distance weak signal contacts in VHF and UHF bands? So long distance. It's the more efficient of the four. Actually, not quite sure that this I would even consider a mode. I guess it is. I don't know much about DRM. It's not in my wheelhouse. All right, two more. Which of the following describes a simple dipole oriented parallel to Earth's surface? So, a simple dipole, meaning there's two poles, oriented parallel to Earth's surface. Parallel. I take it Oliver Explains has submitted their... Oh, this is going to be bad. And under what circumstances is it safe to climb a tower without a helper or observer? Now, here at the house, I do it. I'll admit I do it. All right. Get the stats. Boom. Well, you're getting there. You're getting there though. Now, go look at the answers that it has given you. Just scan over them really quick. Scan over them really quick. All right, so I'm gonna play along with you. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to have a sister here tonight. We're gonna play one more round. Then this is gonna be the end of the stream. After this, I am gonna put the answers to these up on the screen. Y'all can learn with me. Let's hope that this guy can get the right answers. Okay, what is an amateur station's control point? So you got to think, a control. What are you controlling? And I'm just going to have to pick C. I'm just going to have to pick C. Because I actually don't remember. And I just went over this. Okay, what is RACES? It is an organization combining amateur radio and citizens band an International Radio Experimentation Society. Is it a radio contest held in short periods, sometimes called a sprint? Or is it an FCC Part 97 radio service? Civil defense during national emergencias. Which of following types of propagation is most commonly associated with occasional strong signals on 10, 6, and 2 meter bands from beyond the radio horizon? So, beyond the radio horizon. Where should an RF power meter be installed? Now, we know that if you want to measure power, it probably needs to be installed somewhere, right? We're not talking about DC power. Your power supply is DC. We're talking about RF. So anything that says power supply, man, why would you put it with the push to talk line in the antenna? That'd be an interesting thing to look at. All right, what is the electrical term for the force that causes electron flow? I have probably mentioned this a time or two already, that electromotive force. All right, what is component 3? What is component 3 in figure T1? Now, we've gone over some of these already. Remember, I said that was a resistor, a battery, a transistor. This is not an LED. In fact, most electronics these days, I don't even think they install lamps in them anymore. I think most nowadays, everything is LED. All right, what happens to power lost in a feed line? Think of your stove. If you got a stove with the old coil on top of it, where's that power going to?
To cook the food.
Alrighty, which of the following types of signal? Wait, is that really what it says? My eyes are tired tonight. Which of the following types of signal has the narrowest bandwidth? I mentioned that earlier in the stream. Narrow. It's not fat, it's narrow. Got 2 more questions, and then we're done with the stream for tonight. Which of the following increases the resonant frequency of a dipole antenna? So you increase the resonant frequency. Ew. As someone who builds antennas, you know what? I'm going to say that. Nope, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I just made a dipole antenna for one of our followers and a local Austin KQ faux show. I made him a 2-meter half-wave antenna, which they're only about that long. And I 3D printed a little part to hold it together, and I drilled a hole in the top of it, and I hung it in his window. His wife was very concerned about having an antenna in there. I told her, I said, "Ma'am, you are a frog in water, and the stove is on." Am I right, honey? She's shaking her head. She's like, eventually you just give up. Which of the following is an acceptable method to determine whether your station complies with FCC RF exposure regulations? I'm going to say all of these choices. I have done an assessment at my place, and the only time that my station is a harm to anyone is in the backyard. You have to be in my side of the yard, and you would have to reach up, and I would have to be on 10 meters or 6 meters. No, 10 meters. I'd have to be on 10 meters, and you would have to reach your hand up and probably climb to be able to get close enough to the wire for it to be an issue. But it's in a controlled area as well, and in a controlled area, you have more freedom than an uncontrolled area. Yay! I made 100! Alrighty, guys, gals, everybody who's participating. I use guys in the conjugative form of, like, not conjugative, like Spanish. You know, if there's males and females in the same room, they say ellos. They might say ellos y ellas, but they might roll up in there and be like, "What up, y'all?" But thank you all for watching tonight, following along with the trivia questions that are also legit exam questions that are made up by the NCVEC at ncvec.org, if I'm not mistaken. We could just go and check it out. Yes, it is NCVEC. These are the folks the volunteer examiners that we have in place to make up these exams, and that is appointed by Part 97. Yeah, I know the FCC doesn't really have a lot to do with this right now, but you know what? They make these questions for us, and every 4 years a new one comes out. So with that, remember that the extra exam, I'm not starting a new game, but the extra exam for 2024, if you don't take that test within 2 more weeks, that one is gone and the new pool is out. So next week, for one of our viewers, Kilo Oscar 4 November Lava, who was not able to join us tonight because of poor internet at the campsite, we're going to do that for him because we need him to be an extra. We need one more fully fledged VE here in our town for the Colquitt County Ham Radio Society's club. So, Chris, Georgia Parks and Propagation, guys, go check out Georgia Parks and Propagation on YouTube. Check out his channel. He goes out to all kinds of parks, and he does some parks on the air. So thank you, Chris, for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you, Oliver Explains, aka Ashley, for hanging out with me. And there was a third person that did not make their presence known. So y'all have a great evening. Thanks so much. If you want to go back and look at some of the previous ones in the playlist, go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so I'm W1RCP, and stay tuned because there's all kinds of cool stuff coming out on my channel. Just today, I released a fox hunt video. Tomorrow, part 2 of one of the study for the technician exam pops out, and next week there'll be about 3 more that drop. And so with that, it's summer in 70.